There is a lie that many good people are taught very early in life. It's subtle, it's polite, and it sounds virtuous. The lie is this: if you are nice enough, if you are agreeable enough, if you never upset anyone, the world will reward you. But that's not what happens. What happens instead is this: nice people get interrupted, nice people get ignored, nice people get taken advantage of, nice people watch others, louder, harsher, more assertive people, walk straight past them into positions of power, respect, and authority. And the nice person stands there, confused, wondering what they did wrong. You see, the world does not reward niceness. The world rewards competence, courage, and clarity. Niceness, when it is rooted in fear, is not virtue. It's a strategy for avoiding conflict, and the problem with avoiding conflict is that conflict does not avoid you. Sooner or later, life confronts you, and when it does, niceness without strength collapses. Many people confuse niceness with goodness. They are not the same thing. A harmless man is not a good man. He's simply harmless. A good man, or a good woman, is someone who is capable of being dangerous but chooses to control it. Someone who can say no. Someone who can draw a line. Someone who can confront chaos and not disintegrate. Niceness that comes from fear is not moral. It's submissive. And here's the tragedy. Nice people often feel morally superior while they are being quietly destroyed. They tell themselves, at least I'm kind, but kindness without boundaries becomes self-betrayal, and self-betrayal does not lead to peace. It leads to resentment. That resentment doesn't disappear. It turns inward. It becomes depression, bitterness, passive aggression, or quiet despair. So when people ask, why do nice people always lose? The answer is uncomfortable. They lose because they confuse being liked with being respected. They lose because they refuse to develop strength. They lose because they outsource responsibility for their lives to the approval of others, and the world does not forgive that mistake. If you're listening to this and it hurts, that's because it's touching something real. You were probably taught, explicitly or implicitly, that being agreeable was the highest moral good, that saying yes made you virtuous, that confrontation was dangerous, that anger was bad, that asserting yourself meant you were selfish or cruel. So you learned to stay quiet. You learned to smile when you were disrespected. You learned to tolerate things you should have challenged, and for a while it worked. People liked you. People felt comfortable around you. People used your availability, your patience, your silence. But something inside you started to decay. You noticed that your needs were always last. Your opinions were optional. Your boundaries were negotiable. And when you finally tried to speak up, your voice shook, because you had trained yourself to be small. Let's be clear, your desire to be good was not wrong. Your intention was not wrong, but your strategy was incomplete. Because the world is not composed solely of benevolent people. There are manipulative people. There are narcissistic people. There are people who see kindness as weakness and exploit it without remorse. And if you are only nice, you are defenseless. That's not a moral failure. That's a lack of preparation. You weren't taught how to integrate strength with compassion. You were taught to suppress strength entirely. So when life demanded that you stand your ground, you froze. When injustice appeared in front of you, you rationalized it away. When someone crossed a line, you told yourself, it's not worth the conflict. But it was worth the conflict. Because every time you stayed silent, you trained yourself to disappear. And the bitterness you feel now, the exhaustion, the quiet anger, that's not because you're cruel. It's because you were good in a way that required you to destroy yourself. That's not sustainable, and deep down you know it. Here's the shift you must make. If you want to stop losing, stop asking, how do I remain nice? Start asking, how do I become strong enough to be good? Goodness is not weakness. Goodness is disciplined strength. You must develop the capacity to say no. You must develop the capacity to confront. You must develop the capacity to disappoint people. Because if you cannot tolerate the discomfort of confrontation, you will tolerate the pain of resentment, and resentment is far more destructive. The truth is this: people do not respect you for what you tolerate. They respect you for what you stand for, and standing for something means risking conflict. You don't need to become cruel. You don't need to become aggressive, but you do need to become formidable. A formidable person is not loud. They are clear, they don't over-explain, they don't apologize for existing. They don't negotiate their dignity. When they speak, it's measured. When they draw a boundary, it stays drawn. And here's the paradox: the moment you stop trying to be liked, people start taking you seriously. Not everyone will approve of you. That's the price of having a spine. But the people who matter, the ones capable of mutual respect, will rise to meet you. The rest will fall away, and that's not a loss. That's a filtration process. You are not condemned to remain the person who always loses. You can build strength, incrementally, deliberately. Start small. Tell the truth when it's uncomfortable. Say no when you mean no. Pause before agreeing automatically. Notice how often you betray yourself just to keep the peace. Every time you choose honesty over appeasement, you reclaim a piece of yourself. You don't need to explode. You need to assert. Strength does not mean domination. It means presence. It means standing upright, psychologically and physically, and signaling to the world, I am here, I matter, and I will not abandon myself. And when you do that, something remarkable happens. Your anxiety decreases, your resentment fades, your self-respect grows. You stop fantasizing about revenge because you are no longer powerless. Powerlessness is what makes people bitter. Strength is what makes people calm. And once you possess strength, kindness becomes real, because now your kindness is a choice, not a compulsion. Now you can help without being exploited. Now you can give without being emptied. Now you can forgive without erasing yourself. That is moral maturity. So let's resolve this clearly. Nice people lose when niceness is a substitute for courage. Nice people lose when politeness replaces truth. Nice people lose when fear dresses itself up as virtue. But strong people who choose kindness, they don't lose. They build families that are stable. They build careers that are respected. They build lives that are meaningful, because they can confront chaos without becoming chaotic themselves. If you want to stop losing, stop asking permission to exist. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to have standards. You are allowed to protect your time, your energy, and your dignity. And if someone leaves because you stopped being endlessly accommodating, let them go. They weren't attached to you. They were attached to your compliance. The goal is not to be nice. The goal is to be honorable. Honorable people are honest. Honorable people are courageous. Honorable people do not lie to themselves to avoid discomfort. If you have been losing, it's not because you are weak at your core. It's because your strength has been buried under years of misplaced virtue. Dig it out, integrate it, learn to be dangerous, and then choose restraint. That is how you stop losing. That is how you stop being invisible. That is how you become someone the world cannot ignore, not because you demanded attention, but because you finally stood where you belong.